So, I want to give you an explanation about the display modes in 3D Max. I'll press R to W and say, in this perspective view, I'll draw a box here. But to be honest, I'm going out of shape. Well, from this section we can see different display modes. Now we are on the default shading mode. Most of the time, you use this mode to work. Another mode that is often used is the general mode, which shows us a monochrome image, but this mode shows us a lot of detail. And you can try the following modes one by one, and see which one you find most comfortable working with. Well, I'd say on the initial preview and default shading. I'm deleting this. So, today we're going to work on the Edit Spline section together. Edit Spline is actually the settings for lines and shapes for a single body. Let's go to the tack view. I hit the T on the keyboard. Well, I don't want to have this cry. I hit the T, the cry disappears. Let's go to the shake section where there are single bodies. I will draw a line here and take Shift. I drew this. When we see this in the Defense section, I will click on it so that we can see its settings. These settings are open to me. These are the things we are talking about right now. This is about the line, which has these settings, but there are other problems. For example, I draw a pactangle here. Well, now I'm in the rectifier settings, meaning those previous settings, the previous parameters are no longer open. In order to have those parameters, I have to go to the electric grid. The problem was that it was a single bug. We right-click on them and convert to editable spill line. See how these settings have been changed to editable spill line. These settings have also been opened. Well, I'm going to right-click again and see my line. That the line settings are open for me, and see here it says line. When I hover over this shape, it also says editable spill, meaning this shape is the selected one. I want to explain the line settings to you now. I select the line as well. Well, here we have three options. Vertex, segment, and spilling. Vertex is actually the corners of the line. See, when I select these corners that are selected, we call them vertexes. You see that only the corners are selected. Segment, Zelka, and this line that we have here, we call it segment. Now you see that the corners are no longer selected when I am on the segment. And the segments are selected. And the next item is the whole shape of the SPI9. I click on SPI9. At this time I select it. All of this is selected together except for the vertices. So this line, we have selected the line in the vertex section. One of the most important settings is the vertex. This is the gas, which is always set to a preset number. We usually don't change this. It depends on whether your system unit is centimeters or meters. This number changes. We don't touch this number. Of course, I was working on it just now. This is 1/100th of a centimeter. The unit is centimeters. The default is the width. It is used when you draw a shape on a double shape and these corners that should meet don't meet. When these corners meet, we should have a vertex here. But sometimes it happens that these don't meet properly, and here we have two vertices. Well, if you have two for the axis, we will have problems in stabilizing. In such cases, for example, here we select these vertices, and we go and click on the vertex option once, and the vertices come together and become one vertex. Now how do we know that the vertex is exactly the same? We see it when we look at this. For example, I'm going to generalize this vertex. Here you can see the text that says spline is the name of our vertex. A vertex is selected. This is the same if we had two vertices here, the vertices that were not connected here. That would be our address. That's enough. For example, two vertexes are connected or three vertexes. For example, let's see these two vertexes that I connect together. The character of two vertices is connected, or for example 3. Now the heaven of heaven has three vertices connected. So let's take this wild option very briefly. It's better that I always do this myself. After I draw the second one, I select all the wild axes together and connect them. Well, in the vertex section, we are still in the vertex settings. After the vertex, another option that matters is how many times you send it here. Put it below the vertex. So what does chamfer do? I have now selected one of the vertices. I'll zone it so you can see. I selected this vertex, and now I'm going to give it a number. See how much higher I increase the number. In this part it creates a chamfer, or any part you like. For example, this part. The next chamfer is after a few fills, which is also in the vertex section. Now what does the fill do? I'll select this vertex again, and give this fill power. Now this fill rounds the corners for me. Okay. And the next part is create line. Here we have create line. Using this option we can draw a new line in our shape. For example, I want to have a triangle here. I want a line from this to this. The snuff is not even clear. The company recognizes Excel. I drew a lanyard here. For the next line, for example, I click from here to here and exit the command. Well, we were in the vertex settings role, where I told you about the wild. I explained the file with a few lines. Another section we have here is the repaint option. Repaint, which we'll be using here from time to time. It's not working now. I click on the method and it works. This option allows us to add a vertex anywhere in the shape we want. Now I've added a vertex here. Or for example, sometimes in the project I need to add a part of the shape. I also have a breakpoint to make changes. For example, I create a breakpoint here. Or I click last and exit the command. Okay, the next part. There is a segment section. For example, I select this segment. So here it is like this. This section has a vertex create line, meaning we can add a line to it again, for example. I'm going to use this line. For example, I want to have a line from this vertex to this vertex. Now these vertices are exactly the same color. I need to make them clear. So that you can identify the vertices, the tool is now off. But with Create Line, you can draw a new line wherever you want after you draw your checker. Again, we have Refine here. Just like the Vertex Refine section, we can create a new line And that's it. The important part was this. Another point is, for example, I press the W key to go to the on position. If I hold the shaft and move it, we see that this line is actually exfoliating downwards, upwards. And another game we have, if we hold down Control and Shift together, we can get a copy of this guy. On this axis, I said I'll do it, and I'll give it a try. We'll see. I held down Control and Shift together. A copy was taken from this as an example. So let's go to the SB line section and select the SB line. The entire shape is selected for us when I click on it. Well, here we have more settings. The first important settings are here in the MTLAC section. Here you can hurt us like this. For example, I enter the number 2 centimeters to make a tree shape. I'll put 2 in, hit this button, and see if it gives a solid result. It's as if we're trying to draw a plan here. Or if we want, we can show our arrogance in a negative way. Minus that number and -3, for example. You see a bulge in the shape of a period on the outside. So we have these other settings that we had in the segment section. This is what we want to do, for example, a line. For example, I want to move this line forward, or at least by a certain number. So what do I do here? I'll select this line, for example, and move it to. I right-click, this page opens for me. If I want to move in the direction of the x-axis, now I want to move in the direction of the x-axis here. I have to put the x number here. If I want to move in the opposite direction, I have to do negative. Now I want 20 centimeters. This line is also 20 centimeters move on X, to the side. 20 years ahead. I'll bring in the base. I will do more. That means it came 20 years earlier. Now I'm leaving the store on X. I press Z Control. Now I want it to move against the X direction. I'll enter my -20 line. 20 centimeters. See, it moved in the opposite direction of X. So let's go back to the spill line part. The spill line is like, well, this was my original spill line, and we just rewrote it afterwards. Well, the next order, which is an important order and comes to our work a lot, is the etch command, which is in this situation. Look, I have a selection on this shape right now. Here in the modifiers section, we changed it from an editable spiron to an editable spiron. Now, I want to select this shape. So I want to select this shape. You see this is not selected right now. Why? Because I'm here in the spline section. I have to exit this command. Click on this spline once. I exit the command and I can select this shape. Well, you see, this shape of mine can't be called a line here. In this section, the name Matabai is not available. So I select these two together. When I select these two together, it doesn't do anything in the media section because these are two shapes. But now, I want to select this shape to the spline table. I hit attach and come to this line. I'll recreate it again. So these two are now attached together. Now I'm exiting the command again. In the middle, when I select these two together, I have to exit from the command. I have to press once to exit the command. You see, now for example, if I want to go to the vertex, this vertex is activated. This one is activated. These two shapes become one. They are attached together. So now I want to separate them. I don't want them to be attached. The two shapes don't become one shape. What do? Well, after I'm there, I'll hatch them, which means they actually hear a date hatch. I'll select a spillway, come to the spline section. Spline, I'll select this shape for example, and this is fine. Spline, I'll go down. And here I'll click the detail button. Okay, now these two shapes are separated. We can see that I'm on the vertices. I'll click on the spline, for example vertex. That means only the vertices show these shapes. No matter how much they are serifed, they don't show. That means these shapes become dithered. They don't look the same anymore. So another setting in the spline section, let's go down. Here we have an option called tier and another one called accent. So I'll select our arrow. We don't want a line in this section. It can carve it for us. For example, I don't want this. I click on the method and it's cut. Now we go to the accent section. What does our accent do? I click on the method. My desired line goes to the party line. For example, I want to take this line here. We gave an explanation about wild. So I want to show you its carburetor here. I want to go to this shape and select it properly. Why not? Because I'm on the spline here, this one shape. To exit the command, click once on spline, or once on this edit spline right here. I exit the command. So I select this shape, and I go to its settings section. I select spline. I give it an outline. For example, I give it an outline of 3 cents. So now I select this completely. We have a command called extrude, which we'll learn about later together. But here I just want to show you what effect it has on the stability section, whether it's welded or not. I'll go to the perspective view. This shape is also selected, and from this modifier section I'll extrude. We'll work on this together later. So I gave it an extrude. Here I'll give it a number. Bringing this wall of ours. Well, you see that our wall here is solid. Like in reality, our wall is solid. So this shows that all our vertices are aligned together. If you use the shape you have and you see that your wall is empty, it means that this empty space was extruded. There was no gap here. They call it between these walls. So you know that you are somewhere in the check. Your vertex does not know what to do, then we should go and select all your vertices and click on the option once. So let's move on to some important commands in Turley Max, which probably account for 60 to 70% of the commands in this section, the Edit PAL section, which is fixed for occupation. The fixed shapes we have here are used like boxes, like cylinders, spheres, and other fixed shapes. So I'm going to go to the perspective view. I'm going to hit Alt in the video, and I'm going to draw a box here. I right-click to exit the command. The box is still selected, and I go to the Modify section. Well, we see in this section that the name of this new shape is written as my box, so I can use the settings. I'll use Edit Poly. I'll do a whole crust on this box, and convert it to Edit Poly. Well, look, it changed from buds to Edit Poly. The only thing we need to say here is that when we convert our shape to Visit Poly, we will change the settings related to. It's about the size of the shape. We don't have access to things like height, length, width, and height. You see, we have these settings now, but we can't do things like this anymore. When there was a box we worshipped, for example, I'll show you another box here. Well, You'll see this box when I go to the modifier section. Here I have this parameter that I can change, increase or decrease. But when we convert with Edit Party, we no longer have those changes. We change this box in another way. I draw this with the seasonal scroll. Well, let's not go into these settings. Let's start from here. We saw this vertex in some edits and the name of the hand, like the one that shows us exactly the corners of the shape, and we can adjust these corners. Let's edit, for example. I choose this vertex. I'm on the mobile, for example. I want to have a shape like this, or I'm this vertex. Now what we want to do is apply these changes to the vertexes, which are not used much in the interior design sector. What is used here, for example, for example, from this vertex section, for example, I selected this vertex. I want this face, for example, some axes are also active. On the y-axis, and I want to change this size like this, or for example, I want this section to all the retext. I select this section. Or by selecting the selection in this design, well, my next section is the H section. Which shows us these cells, and we can change them like this. And the next section is the border section, which I will explain to you later, and I will fully explain to you what it does. The next section is the polygon section. I selected polygon. These zeros are called the circle of honor, my guys. Banana also has a problem, and I can't rotate with the banana scroll. But you can easily rotate the banana in your space by holding the Alt key and holding down the scroll key. So I use this. Well, these are the polygons. In this order, we can make the changes we want. And the last drawing is the element drawing that includes the entire volume. When I click, the entire volume is captured. So let's go to the vertex settings, and what do we have in this section? So in the vertex section, we have the wild selection here, which we use most in cabinet design. And we went to the workshops on time when we arrived. There we can explain to you how we can use this wild. We have the export. We have a few elephants, so now, for example, I select this Widex. I click on a few elephants. I click on this square next to it, so that its settings open for me. So then we can give this vertex that we selected some feathers with these options like this. Now the patch is the way I want it to look in our mind from the face. And the other settings that we will work on further, and you will get it. So let's take a look at the edge settings. I selected this edge and these are the settings that are open to us. Here again we have extrude, we have weld. We have the camper. The camper is in the edge section, and it has a vertical axis. In the edge section, this camper gives us the boundaries. Now I'll give them to you. For example, I'll click the square next to it to open its two settings. Well, these settings were already there in the past. Friday, my friends. I'm going to go back to the original settings. Now, I'll give it a number here. We'll see. The ranger will show how many parts of the figure are different. For example, I want up to the 5th range. And with these parts, when we increase or decrease the number of segments, it becomes smaller and our angle becomes sharper or softer. The more it increases, the softer our skin becomes. Here we can choose how many points it should be facing outward, sharp, or inward. From this option, this is the tick mark. Let's clarify. This part can be left blank if we need it, which I don't need right now, and this one is the opposite. He only keeps this part for us and wastes everything else on this part. Here we have different modes of the curve. These are different states of being a champ. Well, I don't want this setup. Here, if I click this button, the changes we made will be the same as the rest of the example. If I hit the Zarbot, it will return to its original state. And if I hit the Asafa, it will return to its original state. The same settings will be applied again. Do you see? One is repeated. Well, I'll be back. So let's move on to other settings. Here we have the bridge option, which I will explain to you in more formal terms. How is it, and where do we use the badge? Here we have the connect, which is one of the most important and frequently used command in Note, where we perform the segmentation. The connect actually has a series of edges or segments that we create in order to make it easier for us to work, ma'am. I want you to work. What are we doing, ma'am? I have to choose his side. Sorry, I have to first. The edges that I want to create a connection between and select them. Well, this is the edge command. I want to control between this edge and its bottom. I will select these two edges, and I want to create a connection between these. Well, I will click the square next to the connection. We will see these numbers. There is 1, which means 1 connection for me. I created 2 or 3 more, as many as you want. And from this part, we can also determine the distance between these. Now later, when we have determined the number, we can determine your distance more accurately and with a specific worship. And from here, we will see that it goes this way. I want to determine the window position in this box between the base and the edge, hypothetically. I will select the place of the game, for example this wall. Well, see these 2 places of the game selected. If I select this one, which is next to them, no connection would be created. That means our shape will match. Make sure you select the place where you want to connect the place where the game is. Now if I want to remove the selection, I hold the Alt key and click again, and it will exit the selection. Well, these 2 selections come again. I come connect. 2 of them want to replace the window 2 connections. Okay, well these that do not change the selection anymore. Give another connection. Okay, well. Now let's go into this polygon, because here will be another polygon. I select this polygon and delete it. Now here, hypothetically, for example, is the place for our fence. So let's go to the section marks. Polygon, which also has an important command here. For example, I select this polygon, that the important command is to extrude there. In Wilbirwich, it is also very important to extrude. For example, I will pinch you, you should be right for me, and we should extrude for me. we will extrude it with a number here. Upward or negative inward, another move to extrude. To avoid using this option, we can hold down the Shift key. Let's go to the desired lamb. We'll hide the access. Let's go to the desired lamb. I didn't hide it. I held down the Shift key and whether you are facing upwards or downwards. But we have to go through this period of time together. I'm going to look at the flower of the chapun, and the face of the period is turning like this. Well, I want to select this polygon to show you this surface. Let's put our faces on the edge of this surface and see something similar being created for us. From here we can give it power. For example, how many tons will we have with this set of saws? From this side we can use it to take out the window, drag, and everything else. And whether it's by the individual or by the group, which has different modes, we'll work on this together later. This is from the instructions of the installer. And double, which is a combination of extruded and insert. Now let me give an intro first. Now let's do it in a double-sided way. Let's see if the double extrudes too. We extruded the polygon, and at this moment, the extrusion gives a shape like this. In fact, that's how we did it with this option. I use this option more in the framing of our software. Well, the kids who ordered actually have one more thing to complete, which I have to tell you, we're in the upper echelon of Max. When we want to, for example, extrude this polygon, or use extrude, I hold down the Shift key and move it in the direction I want. I move my cursor to the x-axis, and I pull inward or outward. Now I'm pulling this inward. Look, this is my polygon. But this is in the older version of this X. This does not happen in lower versions. And if we want to, for example, eliminate this polygon, what kind of vegetation would we use? That is, create empty water. I'll tell you. We have to level the playing field here, which is not possible. So I'm going to make this shape. Let's see together. This was selected. So when we go to polygon mode, I want the entire shape to be selected. I'll click on the element. So I want to use all the commands that you just mentioned here. I'll draw a box. We'll convert this to edit quality. I'll click on the effects. The segments will be specific. So I'm going to select this area and connect it to the place of the hair. And again between here, two more connectors. No, I can see it head to head. Or I know the connector, so I said, now let's assume that we have a low version of Maximon, and with the method I said, this Maximon won't empty. Where do we want it and what do we do? So I selected this polygon. I hold down the Control key. I'll select both polygons. See if we had both selected, and we'll use the brush here. I'll click on the bridge once. The wheel of these circles that you see is empty, the part that I wanted to use after aging in these places. So I hit Ctrl Z and we have it here again. This is back, this polygon that was empty. They are going to work, and I will give you the other bridge. I will make a copy of this shape too. I will keep the shape and make a copy of it in the direction of the right. Okay, so I will burn these two shapes together. I will hit this select fire, and I will select the next shape. Now these two have become one shape with this. I go to the layer section. For example, I want to make a circle out of these polygons. I will look at this polygon in the control. Both polygons are selected. I will hit Unify. Click the square next to it to see the settings. There is also a bridge function. Well, these are the bridge settings that you need to work on and get, for example, increase segments and this from this section. Or from here, you can give us the form we want. The form that I did not consider, we do not use it much in our internal work. And the settings are intense. So I wanted to explain the border to you that it was left in this section. Now I will come to this shape and this polygon. Well, in TraceMax, we have all the same empty shapes. I deleted this polygon. Border. Actually, I call it a border around this deleted polygon. When the project manager shows us that we accidentally delete a polygon, now we want to cover this section, or, for example, close it. So this around it that. We give it a border from the border section. We right-click and click the cap. We will see that it is closed. We can select the cap option from this section. So let's draw a frame or a selection space in the form of a con with the command that we have learned a lot. Let's see my shape. Now this shape is not clickable either. Another one from Bob. Actually, the things that are on Instagram that kids always have trouble with when you are in any of these galleries. You can't get out of it. Select the overall shape. To do this, you have to come and edit the Bali once to get out of these commands. Now I'm going to select this overall shape and delete it. Okay. Let's go and draw the wall of our room. I'm going to draw a box here. Let's divide it. I'm going to go into its parameters. I want it to be 5 meters long, which is 100 centimeters in centimeters. And since it's an interior wall, I'm going to set its thickness to 10 centimeters. I'm going to set its height to 88. This is one of our walls. I want to draw its 4 sides. I'm going to convert this. I'm going to put it in Aziz Bali. I'm going to select the parallel edges. Or do this in weeks. We'll see 2 connections. One for this for Bibar. One for this for Bibar. Okay. So now I want each of these to be a 10 centimeter band, because this is what I want to do. My weight when was 10 centimeters. When we make a general demoli on one of these, the general head is selected. Well, I want to give it a reason verb. I ignored the axis on the right. My active Snafum Tibetum recognized the corners for me. I bring this is not a corner. Go and now we can both cross from the new section. Give it a number and from this first section, I have to stop this, let it. Give me a number. So I want to move in the right direction. So I give it a number. I give it an accent. I give it a meter. So here it was tested on me. This is how I click on it. I bring a corner. So here I now want to move the device's head. So I give it a 10 like this. So can I now? Take this polygon and extrude it. I go to Rabeniman. I convert it to extrude movement. I give it a habit, for example, my wall. This wall is also 4 meters. 4 hours. So this is it. With another option that we have when we extrude. Again, I can give the same connection. Now I give this wall an extrusion. When I extrude, it creates another edge for me in that distance. I see now I give it a 10 centimeter extrusion. Here we see here itself. Here this is what it created for me. I can again select this polygon and extrude. I can also go from the connection. I said this one. Well, I could give the conic here. I could also extrude this wall 10 more centimeters for the thickness of the wall, so that this edge here will be created for me, that I did this with the extrusion. And now I want to connect these two here. I can also take each of these and extrude them to connect them one by one, and I can also use the bin. Select, and I have to hold control over both select and node because, well, this is how we frame our wall now. We asked, and first, in the next workshop, I will go into more detail about how we can do a complete internal adjustment. So guys, in this episode we want to talk about the Moody piers. Moody piers, on the other hand, are tools that help us achieve our desired shape. In fact, they make things easier for us. And we want to work together on 2 architectural projects from 10 of the most widely used Modi Pyarari styles. And the easiest one is extrude. We want to start with extrude. Extrude is actually a modality that we can use to give closed lines the same volume. Now I'm going to go into the top view, put the card in the door. I want to draw a line. I'll take the shirt so that Lauren can be pulled straight. Let's not stop looking at the active one. When I want this vertex to be in line with this vertex, I drag the mouse towards this vertex. Whenever it turns green, I click, and the same goes here. Well, one more thing, I want to do this line now. So here it says that if this line is closed, I say no, then I exit the command line, and right-click to exit the command line. Now I want to extrude this line as well. I'm going to go into perspective view. I am Amadapay Rai, our voter in this section, and here is the Amadapay list. I shoot the cannon. I am now extrude again. I keep the weather on these options and extrude and tighten. Well, this is my extrusion. Look, I had your 20-pin screwdriver in my pocket. Here is the amount you want to extrude. 25 cents extruded this for me. But this extrusion is not correct. Why? Because it's extruded hollow. The mode of the extruded series is to extrude our volumes.
You see
into
this
the
door
fill.
is empty inside.
Why? Because we don't close the lines. The vertices of this part actually don't meet. Our vertexes don't know. That's why we said that the vertices are very important. So I'm going to the same section, the modifier section, right-click on the ext, delete it, and go back to the first line. So I'm going to select all the vertices, and since the shortcut key for the vertices is number 1, this is number 1, and hit the vertices. I'm going to select number 2, segmenta, and number 3, and this will go to the mirror spell. I'm going to hit 1. Come to the vertices. Well, I'm going to select all the vertices and I'm going to wild them. Here, I'm going to wild them once. Let the ghost stay in front of the player. I'm just going to do a throat. Okay, now we're going to extrude this again. We're going to the section there are no wilds. And I'm going to type ENX, extrude. Look, our shape is fully extruded. And the correct way to extrude is the same. Now all our vertices are welded together. Well, in the extrude, see how much I said? I want this to be 35 years old now. Or more or less, we have the option point here, cap star and cap end. Cap, for example, if I remove this, remove the tick, go to this upper page, it will empty. We don't have this anymore. Or we will see the border of the cap star. Empty the bottom border. I want to cut this side. I will lighten the familiar piece. Well, I don't remember one point. And you can see the circle in this section. Of all the circles, we have the circle again. I will resend this. I will heighten it. I will set the war settings. I will resend this. I will extrude this. Well, look, this is completely round, because I was going to do the settings. If I didn't do it, this cycle wouldn't be completely round. That is, this ear would be drawn piece by piece like this. We want to go to the settings in the circle section. You should always remember to check this option. In the interpolation section, this is the adaptive checkbox. It should always be on, but now that I'm cutting it, you can see it's not on. I took it out and saw a piece of it. The corners of this circle are rasped into pieces. I can't stand it for a while. He'll make a complete soft progress. So baby, the next Wi-Fi we want to work on is shell. I think it works for stable pages like extruded, but they have a difference between bad and plash. Let's see what the difference is. I'm going to make a plain layer here. And this is Talal segments. If we right-click, its sigmoidity will be slightly reduced, and it will now be in the foreground. Well, I have this. It came with the modification section. I also modify it and give it a shake. See how thick it is. And from this section we can increase or decrease its thickness. For example, I want 7 cents of thickness, or less 2 cents, good. We use this model mostly for modeling on cabinets, dressers, and more. So, the next mods we want to review are the Sweep mod and Profile mod, which are both used more as classics. Now I want to show you how it works. I come to the top view. I'll straighten it. So I'll pull it here and grab the shaft so I can have a smooth finish. Well, first I'll give him the Malabai sweep and confirm the use of sweep. Well, we're doing this now. Actually, we gave our line a profile. I'm going to go to the profile view. I'm grateful that we gave our line such a profile. Well, this sweep also has a series of advanced models from this section. We can try them. From here we can control this parameter, so we can see it more easily. Well, let's try these together. These profiles are ready for the scandal. Well, then there comes a moment. I want to explain this to you first. Let's assume, for example, that we decorated the walls of our room, or any space. Now we can remove the cornice. We can easily draw a dong around our wall, and let's sweep it, for example. For example, let's give it this prop. Give it to it. Tell it to use this water as a wall cornice. Now here we can increase and decrease its thickness, and actually control this parameter. Now one more thing always does. Suppose we have, for example, a classic work that has a certain section, and we want it to be in no lump. These are not ready-made dominants, and we want to relate that section to our line. For this I'll go back to the top, but thank you very much. Well, now this, I'm going to put this, for example. I'm going to put about 1. I'm going to go to the lesson of the axis, for example. I'm going to wild this a little. I'm on the transform. I put the transform on the morph mode. I come here, and I'm going to give them a fill. For example, I want to give these 2 centimeters a fill. 2 centimeters were missing. Can you tell me this? I have to. Now, these are the ideas that are in my mind. Maybe you have different ideas in your mind that you want to attribute to the line. I have now also drawn this line. I want to exit this command. We will see. I want to click this. It is not enough. I will say that I am in the wide text again, so that I exit the command. I will click it once on the number to 1, and from the exit command, we will see. Well, I have selected this. I will go and show you in your sprite view. Well, I want to use my own tool here. I will uncheck this option. That is, now the ready part is unchecked. I will click on the pick and it gave justice to this profile of mine. You see, the profile that I drew gave justice to this Nina. Like this. So now we want to use the same line instead of using the Swift modifier. And both of them work almost the same way. I'm going to go here on this in the modifier section on my Swift. I'm going to clear Flash. I'm going to delete this. I have my first line. So my line is selected. This is it. I'm going to select the line and go to Profile. And assign the profile color to it. Well, now I want to use the contour that I drew myself here. I'm going to put it on Classic. I'm going to put the profile on our contour. I think we see this is also seen in the same way, the contour that you drew. Now see that the profile can even control the parameter. And we know SAPS because this is Flash. Look at the side. We put the profile, and we put the profile gizmo. Now with our bug gizmos, now I can scale it. There's a sharp so. I'm awake, we see all the changes that we're making. This is different from what we see here. This doesn't show up in the lander, but it shows us here. This difference changes us. Well, I explained this command in a basic way. We will work on them in more detail in the projects. So the next modifications that we want to work on are the core poly edit. The difference with the del poly edit is that let me show you how to do this. See, for example, I draw a box here. Well, I come to the Modify section. I also gave the parameters of the box here. I can change the area and height, and any parameter that my heart desires. When I right-click on Convert and convert to Editable Poly, well, you see, I no longer have access to the parameters. If I want to change this box, I have to do a lot of vertex manipulation, or for example, I make the polygon smaller or larger, or whatever you want to change, I give its parameters. When we convert to Rewrable Poly, I have another box, okay? I'm not converting this now. I'm going to call it a modifier. I'm going to give it a modifier. I'm going to give it a deep poly modifier. Well, let's see if we can give it the obituaries emoji. All the obituaries commands are in obituaries. The point is to see that I have the box from below. When I click on a box, I can easily. I have access to its parameter and apply it. Well, we have this Tesla plan like Edit Poly. It works exactly the same way. You can see that the view in this form is again and again. But here I have this uncle right here. When I convert it, I will correct the telephoto and convert it to entreable spline. Look here, I don't have the parameters of our circle anymore. I only have the parameters of entreable splines. Now I can go to another one next to it. And here they give it a millipi instead of a clip class and a convergence. Here they give it a millipi of the Hattis spline. Well, we see this circle that we gave it a Hattis spline. When we see the circle here, we can access the settings and its initial parameters. The next MedPay we want to fill in is the Champar MedPay, which is one of the most specific in detail. We don't have any shape in the real world that has such sharp corners. So, what are we doing here? I'm doing this now. The box also came out selected. What area do I have? What area do I have? See here, I'm discussing its many different modes. See, there are different modes. It depends on what you want to do. And I set the parameter to this, for example. And from here, from this section, the value changes, for example, to what extent I want the shape to be softened. For example, I put this in a few centimeters, and here, as we increase the number of segments, the corners become softer and softer. You see, I put these segments in the shape of the after. Don't let them see how much better it looks. They look really good in the render. When you give our show a few frames, it becomes more realistic and real in time. So guys, the next mod we're going to work on together is the FFT mod. I'll draw a box here. Now I'll click here to make the screen bigger. These segments are too much. Right-click on this segment in this section. The segments will reach the lowest possible values. Okay, this box too. I'm in the banana pie section. We have these 2, 3, 4, and the box effect. We use 2 and the box effect the most. The effect is useful in teaching. We use complex shapes. Now I want to give this woman a 2 effect. I click 1 and I'm lost. Effect 2. We see that a similar situation has been created. I can change the size with 2 effects and 3 other things. Now I'll click the arrow of the word effect here and add a control point. For example, I select this pointer. In this box I can also disturb the good void, or I have another change, and I want to make such changes. The effect box that I will explain to you is used for better understanding. I will draw a leopard here. You can see that this leopard has too many segments. I will reduce its segments. I will do one right here. I will do one right here. I will do one right here. Well, this old man should. Right-click. I understand that it will be removed from the messenger. I will make a copy to show you the difference in work. Now I will also come to this plane. Here I will give it to the Elanti box. Well, look here. You will see a series on the plane. We can change the number of these points ourselves. From this section, we can divide how many points it has. For example, this has 12 bent and 20. So now I will come to the flash of the Jenner FFD. Control the point. I will select one of these points. I'm pulling it up. Look, our shape hasn't changed at all. It's true that this point has moved up, but the shape of the polynomial itself hasn't changed. Now I'm coming. Because of this command, I'll also hit this FFT once. Now it's coming to this polyline. What do I do here? This time I'll give it more segments. For example, 30 and 35. And I'm coming to this leopard on its effect. It's coming to my head. I'll close the whole class and copy it, because I want to have the same effects settings on this too. Okay. I did this, it's coming to this clean and I'll paste it here. Okay, now I'm here again, control the part. For me, I'll select this point and drag it up. You see it's set up like this. And in that drawing, I've selected a point, and I'll select a point here too. I'll drag it back. Forgive me. One up. This FFD box sect gives it when our polyline or volume has few segments, and these two when it has two segments too many. Well, guys, we saw here that we were able to do this volume with the mob with the help of the effect pack. Another thing we can do is that we select the points we want again. We can rotate until it reaches the desired volume, or even scale it. So the next variable that we want to work on is a symmetrical variable. It's a very good variable, and it has a lot of cardboard. I'll leave this out of the picture. I'll explain it. I'm going to go to the tilt view and we want to make a line. Well, guys, be careful when you want to draw a line. If you want to see your line, I'll draw a line here. See, its bottom is rounded like this, and it's not flat. If you want to keep this state for you, and when you want to draw a line, you want to ask him, please, both options should be on the crown. It was on top. This is also it. So that state can't be created. I'll hold the Shift key. Let's take the video like this. You mentioned the line. If you remember, there's no need to convert it to a spline serial number, because it's already configured. Let's go to the geometry section. You see, we don't want to, and I choose spline. I want him to be the last. Well, I'm going to go into perspective first. The lines are here. I'm now giving these lines the backstride intent to modify the section. Well, let's assume this is an interior wall. We want to have the same wall here too. And we don't need to draw it again. We'll take those sides. Maybe we'll say one way is that we'll take a copy of this and rotate it. We'll take a copy of it from now on. I'll cut out all the corners. For example, now you might say that I'm going to turn off the axis here. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to put these drawers. I'm going to put this point on this point. Well, maybe this is one way, but this way is very difficult. Well, it's true that this is one of the lines that other lines are straight or any shape. But in terms of its basic use, symmetry is what I choose. I choose this line. I stay here. I give the symmetry to the cannon. Well, look, Now if I want to copy or mirror on any axis or in symmetry, I choose that axis. Now I want to copy or mirror on the x-axis, so I just choose x. I turn off this level. These are the bridges next to the symmetry. They go to the mirror. And look here from x. This is a mirror that I took from this wall. I won't leave it here. A little further. And now I'm going to pour pure liquid into this wall, and we were here. You're going to symmetry, and we should be able to rotate it like this, or in all four directions. There are also some opinions. If we want symmetry, I took all the symmetry in the x direction. If we want to take it in the opposite direction, here you have to turn on the flip aperture. The sign is in this effort. It gives symmetry. The shape of the sign was in its mirror effort. Here is the most symmetrical one. Well, hello everyone. We want to start Corona, the introductory part of Corona and the Corona community, and the discussion of it Nasser to Terry Wax. And maybe it wasn't possible to cover all the topics that the limited sessions said. I will explain the limited things to you. And then we will definitely work on the supplementary content together in the workshops. Well, after you install Corona, these are the Corona icons that will appear for you on the Max Autotunes team page, and you can use them. For example, these two are for the camera. This one we don't have it. It is for when we want to adjust the camera ourselves. This is the next one that is the middle of these two. Now when I am in a certain bio, it says to shoot this from the same bio. It puts a dummy in the same bio, and I can get a render from it. For example, I am taking this press view now. Well, for example, I had previously put a dummy in this angle, not here. For example, I want to put this from this angle. I'll put a dash cam from this angle. When I click this, he sees that he put a camera here for me, and even here it says Corona camera, camera number 3. Now since I have put a camera before, it's number 3. Or for example, how do we put this dragon in the rules for the dragon that came? We have this outside in the view. The door is in the victory. I will get the previous doors. I will delete the doors and make the new door. Well, I came to the swing view. Can you make a better sound? We must put a dolphin from the swing view. Well, I will put a dolphin view here, and they will shoot it here, where I want it. The Tarkais is if it goes out of the scene. We can do a better job. Okay. No, I clicked again. This is how much I'll see. Okay, I'll straighten it. I'll see the video like this. Look at door number 3, that's it. Well, I'll press the garlic key on the keyboard. Look, we went to the doors say-by. Then now we can fix the say-bys. I'll explain these settings to you in full later. This depends on how the camera works. Well, we'll work on the camera settings later in our own way. So first, I'll give you a general overview of the coronavirus, give you some general points, and then we'll get into the details. So in order for us to be able to render, first of all we need to enter our render setup. From here, we can either select directly, or we can open these settings with the Windows key. I think this section will probably be another option for you. If we are working on the first program, here the different rendering engines will be used, let alone Corona, and something else. So, I have to select Corona here in the rendering section. And these are the settings related to Corona rendering. And we'll work on all of these together. Well, in these settings, and one of the important parts in the command section here, is the output size section, which is where we can actually specify our frame, our rendering cost, and other things. Let's say in this section, you can see the size difference. First, I'll set this to custom, and then we'll make an image here. We have an image aspect here. I'll put it in the wrong place. Open it up and look at this box. You can see that it tells us the proportions of the box. If I put it on number 1, I'll definitely put this one in. Look, a square box has been added. If I put a number higher than 1, say 2, it creates a completely conceptual and elongated box. And for a number below 1, for example, 4 mouths in a vertical frame would give the same effect. Now, many of you are working on the project, and the scene you have. You can set any frame you need here. Now, for example, I want the frames to be 1 and 3. This is the cadre I'm looking for. I don't want another cadre to investigate your work. I'll tell you, brother, to stop talking about this to the side. We can't investigate anymore. We can do it from here. Let's see if these two numbers change according to this aspect ratio of our image. For example, according to the same ratio we gave here. If I increase this now, we will see that the lower one will also increase. The higher these two numbers are, the higher one of our renders will be, and the longer our rendering time will be. The lower these numbers are, the lower one of our renders will be, and the faster the rendering time will be. For the Frender test, we usually set this to a small number, such as 70, 80, and so on. For the Frender test, we want to say Frender test and set it to 80. And well, another point that we have is that I am now in the binocular angle, not see it written here. I see in a far angle. Corona, the camera is good. If I want to see my frame, you always have to press the Shift key plus F once to see that your frame is correct. This means that I am the frame. Let's see. I pressed Shift and F. This box came up. But this is not my main box. This is how it is shown to me in the viewport. But if I want to see the box that is assigned in the render, I hold Shift and F. No, I press Shift and F. And this is the box that I see in the render. Well, we also have a light setting. For the project, we always work on light. The light settings are also from this section. This is the top. Click here. In this light section, click here on the Corona. And we have Puronis in here. We have Purona like that. We have all kinds of lights. And later we will work on this together and get acquainted with its settings. So let's say that we are familiar with the basics of material creation. From when can we start material creation? One here. We can see that if we hold down this icon, it will be the material editor. We can either select and open it from this section, or press the M key here from the keyboard on the screen. This will open the material dister section for us. Well, there's a dot behind it. If your Corona is Corona 7 or earlier, the main material we work with is our materials business. It's called Corona Antilles. But after Corona 7, now I installed Corona or ZAR myself. After Corona 7, that piece of material, or our main material, is maybe Corona Legacy. You can see this is Corona Legacy that I generalize, keep and cherish in my material page. This is the basic material that we work on a lot. Here is the chrono. Physical I'm tail. This is for you to ask. See, my method is to left click, hold and understand into the surface, but okay. We mostly use this chrome Lexit material. I am writing this. Well guys, look at each material I'm adding to this material. Here is the information related to this material. Each layer is made up of a series of information. This information includes the shadow layer that is applied to the texture and the rest. Look, we have different parts here now. This is the first part. Diffuse is in diffuse. In fact, we can attribute the color or design that our material has to the material from this diffuse section. For example, if the material is brick, then it must have a brick design on the material. Or we have a simple material that has a red color. For example, we can attribute this to it from this master Tipias. Or for example, if we have a stone, such as a Morville stone, we should diffuse it from this section. Should we give it the marble design material? Or for example, if we have a Tila material, we should give it a Tila color here. We also work on this in ProJob, and we know more about it. The next part here is the reflection part, which is actually the reflection that shape gives to itself. For example, a mirror is a volume that has most of this reflection. Why? Because we see ourselves completely in the mirror, so the reflection that shape gives to it is called reflection. Even the effect of light on the object is also reflection. That object is actually reflection. It is an index of the image of objects on the shape. Now, as we work on projects and in projects, we will understand more. Let's go down to refraction. Refraction is something that is actually a shape that we can see behind the object. In fact, we can see the light passing through it. Like glass, which has more reflection, meaning that we can see everything behind the glass. For example, if we look at it through this glass, then there is more reflection on the glass. And the next point is the amount of transparency, matte, or opacity of reflection and refraction. We call it glossiness, which can be controlled with a number. Let's see here that it has this glossiness. This is also glassine. We can control it with practice. Well guys, these were general concepts that we got to know. Now, let's create a simple material and see how this material page works for us. It works, so I'm going to put this material page somewhere so we can see the effect. I'm going to go into this and enlarge this, and so that in the video, I'm in the camera. I'm in the camera's field of view. I can't zoom in or anything, so I'm going to press the P key to go into the perspective view, and I can zoom in and get to my point of view. I want to see the effect of the materials on these shapes, so I'm going to find my material here. This is my material. For example, I want to apply this to this shape. Okay, it's selected. I'm going to create a material on this shape. For example, I'm going to create a material on this shape. This is my raw material. That's here. I want to apply this to this shape. I'm going to click on it. This shape is also selected. And from above, this is the main material in the selection option. Let's see here. We see this around this circle. This is linear and flat. This means that the material has been applied to this shape. Now suppose I want this flower pot to have a specific color. So let's say I want to go to the diffuse section. In the diffuse section, I go to the color. For example, I want my camera, for example, this flower pot, for example, to have a color like this. Also see, every change I made here will be applied to this flower pot as well. Or for example, this shape next to it. I want it to be under the. I want this not now, for example, I want this flower pot to be a glass material, okay. Or this flower pot to be a glass material. I'll change it to glass material, okay, glass material. Well, it doesn't have a specific color. Because it doesn't have a specific color, we have to put its dither on it, and put a bit of a B-sit on it, back to the first state. Because it doesn't have a color, we set the diffuse color to black. But boy, we never have any color in nature in the normal state that is absolute. We don't have black as absolute. Don't make it absolute or absolute white, for example. This is not a good line. A little lower, for example. This is good. Okay, glass, we said oh. The glass has a reflection. Its reflection is much higher than glass. So we completely reflect everything. Our highest reflection level is the number 1. We have nothing higher than 1. So we put this on the number 1 and go to the refraction section. Let's say that the glass also has a high refraction, meaning we can see the back of the glass completely, right? We put this on the number 1 and do you see? This vase has a kind of glassy appearance. Both the inside is visible, the stems of the flowers are visible, and the back is also visible. So guys, let's go back to the rest of the tutorial. I want you to go there, and let's see the same circle that the material has shaped. I can do it together, and since I select my camera, and as soon as I cut from here the camera section and go to my camera view. Well, there were all these cameras, and I can go to the perspective here and go to the perspective so that I can move this bioport page again, so we'll go to these two. We had the shape of the glass material. Let's go back to the material section, so we can press my key on the keyboard. Well, this was the material that we had made, the glass material from this section. Let's go to the overview and enlarge this, and give this material that we made. Well, and now I'm going to clip this teacher here. And the teacher will open, which I have requested from the previous session. So now I want to see this. Of course, guys, I didn't do any camera settings. I didn't put good light on the scene. I just want to show you a general overview. I want to take a scene from the material I turned on today. And take a render. What does it look like? We'll talk about it in this section. This is the interactive render symbol. The core of the interactive render is that you can make changes in the trick. See it right now in the render. Well, look at this render page. The same thing. The same thing. This vase. I'll bring up the material page. I have an analysis here, so we can see what it looks like. I want to see it in the render. Well, the macro is here. Let's see the other macro. Let's see the beginning. So these are the settings that we opened here. Well, guys, I don't have a scene for these vases right now, but I'm sure if I were to turn the scene, those objects would fall into these vases, just as those objects would fall into the shadows of those objects in these vases. Now, when I was coming to reflection and when we were talking about glassiness, we said that the higher the glassiness number, that is, 1, the more healing our body is, and the lower the number, the better. That part of our material becomes opaque. Now this glass is transparent. It becomes opaque. I reduce the opaqueness, for example. I put it to 4. We have exactly what we are going to do. See, the glass is modified like this. Now the bedding is as you read it. You can reach it to the material you read it. You can reach it with this number. It is a decimal. Let's take its settings, for example. Let's say we see the points. We have a shiny state again. We increase. And this glossiness is also for the reflection section. In the reflection section, we also have to lower the glossiness of all four. The object becomes opaque. The more material, as much as it goes up, our material becomes clearer. See, now you can say that I put this one. It became transparent. Well, this is from this section, and we have an eyewear section here. In each reflection and reflection sections we have eyewear and L and R are also refractive indices, and for each case we have its own refractive index. And next, to get this failure, we can search the internet. Iowa Light will bring a table that IOL specifically writes for each supplement there, and we can use it. Guys, here we have a part in the glass. From this part, we will see it in the section. We will use it. Now I say, because I am vibrant, I don't have anything, maybe it's not very clear. We have a complex material. Let's see how I work. Let's see if I'm still in the roll and the roll. Now I'm going to make a combination. You change this place of Androsi Noor. Now I say, you should put a new one with the Euromecha. You will work on all this in detail in the future meetings. And a general state, we want you to know about the extension in Corona. You have seen a section where these material settings are used to make glass materials. We can use it. I am below this volumetric section. I will open this section. From here we can use it to make colored glasses. Well, as we have an interactive colorist, we are making changes. We want to make a colored glass. We go from this section. We choose the color of the product. For example, I want to have a blue glass. For example, I want to give this one and I give it a number in the distance method. For example, I give the number 10, so we see that it is almost colored glass. And now here is a kerosene that has in this section. The higher the belief that we know, the color that is given to the glass, the more the belief is, the darker the color is. Our color becomes darker, like here I give the number 1, we see how much the color has become. Now I give like 70, which was too much, a very pale color from our eyes. I say the color of the face. Let's see a little bit. I say a lot of clay, and the color of the color will be more. And in this way, for example, you don't know that we want to make a glass. This is in the interactive layout, and the moment we make the change it will show us. So let's go now, or make the metal material together again. I'll close this. And from here I've teleported the Corona part of Corona material. A Corona Legion of steel here. So I'll hold this. I'll click and hold and drag it to the page. We want to make a material on this. Let's make a material pulse. Now this material is the same as the one we assigned from our shape. In your opinion, we're going to assign it to that shape this time, okay? I'm going to scroll the page a little bit. See, on this material, we select the shape that we want to assign the material to, and we'll make this material difficult, and we'll come here. From the material side, we'll make the selection, and we'll see the actions of this changed like this. A beveled shape of our fossil knot material is given in half like this. So the point is that, guys, our D3S for making metal material doesn't have a color, so we're still putting the color of D3S on the problem. Okay? And the next point, which is an important point, is that we are in the philosophy of the philosopher. We don't have reflections, meaning we can't see the other side of the plasma when we look at it like glass. When we look at it, we can see the back of the glass. That plasmas don't have anything like that. That we don't have anything to do with this door and reflection, but reflection, we have a lot to do with this part. With this reflection part, I give the reflection about 1. Look, you can also see the rendering changes. That is, it got a reflection mode. So I gave the number 1 to its reflection. And I want it to be a single color. Now, I'm coming from here, the hat part, to the reflection. I want it to be a gradient color. I want it to be like a gradient. Well, guys, this shape that we chose because the material switch was not done well. This doesn't show well. Well, guys, sorry for the time you spent with me. For example, I chose the color TV for my plasma. Now you can work with this color and come up with the opposite color. I chose this color. I set the glassiness to 18. And now we're working on the glassiness together. In what state should we put it? And the next point is that we set the IOs on the filaments to the highest possible level. This content should always be kept in mind. I set the highest possible number. And you see that it changed. And now we have made a very interesting filament that we can now change its color from here. See that it is not glassy. Now it is on 18. I want to, for example, modify the filament a little. See that it changes. We see that it has modified. Its reflection has decreased from that Muriel. We see that I will put it back into the points.
I do reflection.
We understand the places where we go in the bronzing mode. We do reflection. Those are the best states. As for which part your reflection is in, it also depends on the Norton source. With what type and in what state I also placed the Norton source. These are now some general situations. Suppose, for example, that we want to change the color of our filament. For example, a little lamb-like tray. For example, I want Flensa.
Color, 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 color.
So the Mufti's very important point was that we should calculate the highest possible number of people. So let's go to the plastic material, which is very simple. I want to give this circle a plastic material. I'll open the material page and assign it A. Corona Luxury from M-Tile. We can also take this Corona Luxury from M-Tile and understand it on the page. And we can also click on the class and select the material Corona and Corona Ligres M-Tile. My material has not yet been assigned to the circle. I click on it, and I click on the material at all. We see that its corners are baked, so it means it has been assigned to this circle. The plastic material has both diffuse and reflection, but you don't have reflection in the plastic material anymore. I have the diffuse here on the plastic color. I'll put black and I'll give it a reflection of 1. Given that we have different plastics, because we need the material we want to make, you can adjust the number of decency and reflection and go to what we want to achieve to get to the material we want to achieve. We see that the refraction is all applied here. I will enlarge it. Well, I will reduce the glassine, for example. I will give it an 8. I want it to be a bit matte. And it turned out like this, so now we are going to one renderer and one renderer or interactive, and one renderer and one renderer and one renderer and one renderer. Well, my child, because I had already chosen this area to render for me, and this is what is left in the preview, they close this in again. Well, look, we had made this material before. This was the glass material, the philosophy material, and this is the plastic material. Now you can change the color of the plastic from us. For example, it turns blue on this side. Or you can see that every egg I create is also shown in the Antarctic render. Pocket and ISA in this, most of us change the same color in the circle to black. Guys, let's go to the render buffer, and we still have work to do for the rendering. I'll give you some general explanations here, and then we'll go back to the rendering. So we have 3 options here under this tab to click on this. Well, we have different options to click on this. Projects are very useful for us. For example, the exposure section, which determines the brightness and darkness of the scene. If we look at the number, if the scene becomes brighter, we reduce the number. The thing is, we reduce the exposure in the morning, it gets darker, and we have the white balance, which basically doesn't change much on my 6500. Now again, we can use this to concentrate on the scene we are in. If we want to do a cold or very hot scene, we can use this. We are going to explain the Amazon on 6050. And also other parts that you can work on yourself. You will get what you can use for the contrast part, which gives the Sangam contrast. That is, it increases and decreases the intensity of the shadows for this reason. Now I reduced it. You can see that the shadows are completely reduced. No, the more I increase it, the darker the shadows become, and the border between darkness and light becomes even greater. This and the other options, guys, make sure to check this option always. So let's go to the materials section. And now I want to create a material. I brought you the marble stone. It's going to go again. We're giving away material. We're a coronavirus. I'm sorry, I understand. Now this time I want to attribute it to these characters. I'll put it in the material later, because it's for the material. We can also use different materials for stone, and we can also use, for example, reflection and glassine, and we can also use numbers to reach the material we want. So now I want to go here and go to the folder I want, and I want to understand these two max on the page. I'll make this picture bigger so you can see it. This marble stone that we want to put on the vase. We could have drawn a surface and stuck this on the surface, but now they're just saying the general points. We can only get acquainted with the principles of the whole matrix. I attribute this to the diffuse. I will leave this circle of totality. I will keep it and attribute it to the diffuse matrix. So I will close this. I'll open this original material to see what changes are made to the method. And here we have the section. We have the bump. We call these loves that didn't turn out like this at all a bump. We cannot directly attribute the bump to the bump in a corona. It has to be one first. We're going to give him a normal corona from here. I'll right-click and go to the Corona and Corona Man section. Normal, so in order to attribute our bump to our virus, we first attribute our bump to our normal corona and from there to our bump. Well, you see, such a situation was created so that our material does not look pixelated. I click on the corona map normally, and here the settings are open for me. I definitely need to enable this option. And turn on this fabric, see if it gets better, now this stone. Marble is not the same, so here we have a reflection example, and you know that all stones have a reflection. Now, depending on the type of stone, the amount can be more or less. Here I'm giving it a reflection of 1. I also want Glassence to be 1 stone. Glassence 39 will be given to him. Well, this stone was made. Let's go see if its volume was assigned or not. We'll see if the stone sits on this vase, and well, this was a stone-built method. The next method is that you have the same steps again, meaning we don't assign the bump like this. We assign the refuse, but for the part. We also use reflection and glossiness from Mach, which has exactly the same advantages as Geo. Now you want to create it together again, for example. I'll make a copy of this again. Let's create it together here. I'll grab it, hold the shape, and drag this. I'll make a copy of this word. So we want this. Well, this stone doesn't have the same reflection and glossiness. We don't want reflection with the map. Well guys, I understood these two maps like the other maps from the folder I was looking for, and I'm linking to them here. I attribute this to reflection, and this to glossitis. Well, you see nothing changed. That means we don't see any reflection on this stone. Why? because we are clipping on the original material because for this concept to affect reflection, we must set its number to 1. Well, we see that it was made this way. We have both this stone facing us and this one. Well, it seems like it's a bit more glazed. We can reduce it. In this way, the two rocks are facing us. So guys, this is the material I downloaded from different sites. You can download the material based on the material you want to create. Later, you can work together. How can you go about creating the material? The material has been downloaded. You can download all these maps from the material yourself. For example, the Marblestone Tactile Bump Map, or, for example, this bitmap that is called Diffuse. We have given the attribution, and all this is not enough. But in order for you to create good materials, it is necessary to understand the materials well. What kind of effects do shadows and light have on the materials? All of this must be done with the tree. Let's go to Salon. We made a material for the Azure, which we learn very good points in this material. My child, I want to give the wall behind this golden tree a material for the Azure. Well, this wall is selected. I go to the materials. I put the command or I choose from here, a Corona Logistic. I have already assigned this wall to this wall, so last time if we wanted to import a concept, we would open the folder and import that concept one by one. That's right. For example, we would import this concept like this, for example. For example, I will take this diffuse and drag it to my page. There is another way that you can use Corona bitmap to see this vector. Until I found it in this article, the fastest way is to right-click on the map Corona and Corona bitmap. From here you can go to the folder and select the place you want. We had imported the diffuse bump. He came in. And the same way we used to import, I'll draw the materials this side. Our bitmap with Corona didn't import. Well, it became black. I'll re-import it. Resplit same. This kid wrote next to this material himself, which part these are for us? Normal and reflection. Let's see, we attribute this that we know is diffuse to diffuse like this, guys. Here our error is our channel error. White. The draw string is white. If you draw a string, you should do this accordingly. The pre-string is black. You should have something like this called ambient occlusion open. Which makes these lines between the bricks darker for you. Now you see here. White. If I want to use this, I'll bring this bitmap here. I have to let it enlarge it a little bigger, so you can see it in the viewport. I'm using Corona Mix. I'm going to go to the materials, Corona and Corona Mix. I'll choose Corona Mix and Diffuse. And let's first mix together this ambient that we want to give it. I'm going to mix the Corona. I'm going to assign this diffuse to my base, and this ambient that we want to bring to it. Well, look, this is how it turned out. And I have to come to this section in these settings in this section of the mix. There are many different modes on this. For example, see overlay or multi-poly, which I'm going to leave on multi-poly mode. Then if I said if you pull the strap, your Jolton is a beam. They assign it to diffuse. Well, look, here it is also a love for us. Now we assign this to the reflection section here. We assign the glossiness to the same. Well, this should also be the bump that we hit the bump with. We can use it with Corona Normal. First, we have to assign it to Corona Normal and then to bump. Well, this is the material that we created. Now, in addition to these, let's also remove the extra one. We also have a displacement in this session. Well, I'm also talking about this. Look here, now we see that these bricks are not big. What do I do with this vase? I also see this box selected. I'm going to give it a UV map. From this Modify List section that I added here before, you can search or add it again. A new W map will be presented. See, here are different modes. I'll try, for example, the box mode, which is the same face mode. For example, I'll put it in box mode, and I have to make this smaller, another mode. Now you can do this later with your own details. I'm now going to make a port from this wall, an interactive port. Guys, if our wall is like this, it's because we ourselves wanted our wall to be a classic wall, or for example, if we do it in a rustic style, or for example, we can use such media. Well, our Definos material was like this anyway, so we took this and wanted to make a comparison between when we deplace and when we don't deplace our material. I've been doing this since I was a kid. I saved here so that we can compare now. Now we're going back to my material, and this time I'm also assigning displacement. Okay. You should see the displacement section here. It has max level. It has minimum level. And you can also have these numbers less depending on the displacement you have. Now I'm going to leave it at 1. We wanted to do an interactive render again. Well, what I'm doing is, yes, we'll see a grid somewhere. Now I'm going to save this. In this history section, we should be able to save it. Now I'm going to put this, and I want to fight these two. This A and this B. Let's see when we see the lines here. Here, we see how many colors the line has. When I gave it a more colorful color. Let's see when we do this after. Let's see this. This left side is a part of the answer. We didn't assign it without the right side without a pixel. So guys, we want to work on an interior project together, which includes a kitchen, a living room, a TV wall, and a balcony that goes to the first floor. And the first floor has a mobile home and a bedroom. That's what we want to work on together. You guys, in order to be able to work on an Eve project, you must have an accurate size of half your size. Now you can manually enter the size of the size. Let's import the file or any other file into 3D Max and work with it. So first, when we open our 3D Max file, we first have to comment. Check our units. We saw in the Customize Unit Setup discussion, and here I put this on centimeters. And I put this on 1 centimeter. Both okay, and I'm going to load my plan. Import the file and import it again, and go to the place where my plan is. And my name is okay. Guys, now we want to load the plan. Let's go. A page like this will appear. Here in this window we have to put the unit that our plan is drawn with. That is, in AutoCAD we drew that plan with the meter unit. So here we have to change our unit to meter. If we see it for you. But there are other units too. For example, if you have drawn the plan with the centimeter unit in AutoCAD, select it with the centimeter unit. If you see that this is not active for you, you have to turn on this option next to it. Tick it so that it is active for you. Well, I'll click on the plan. The items will go to the Alto view. I'll click on the video so that this view will appear. I'll press the G key so that these widgets will go. And we can work more easily. So guys, this is our floor plan and this is our first floor plan, which you can see here that we have the staircase on our floor. We have a reception, we have our TV here, the kitchen is in this part of the house, and on the first floor we have a void, and here we probably have a... Let's have a bedroom space. Now let's see what happens next. I edited these plans a lot to get to this. We'll probably consider this a living room or a bedroom oasis. To start, I'll see this plano. The plano is selected. I'll select the plano. I'll right-click and click Freeze Selection. See, this is now frozen and not selected. They're not selected, and we can work with them for convenience. Now, guys, since we don't have any volumes in our row, when we want to work in the viewport and draw a line, we can put our snap on Snap 3. But even if we have one volume, a three-dimensional volume, and we want to go with the line in the views, we have to put our snap on the double. See, I kept it on the snap. And the double and 3. We have to definitely put it on the double. Now, since I say we don't have any volume, we can put it on 3. So now I want to draw the walls around my ground floor plan with lines. So you see, this snuff is also on, but it doesn't recognize these corners. I can't draw my plan accurately from its walls. So what do I do next? I'll right-click on the snuff. I'll go to the Options section, and here I'll turn on Snap to Frozen Object. In this Snap section, only Vertex is also turned on. Well, see, now it recognizes the corners for me. I'll start drawing. I'll draw all these walls separately and then I'll connect them together. This section is our TV wall. We shouldn't draw this wall here, we shouldn't draw it here. We'll just draw the wall behind it. This is where our windows are. These are the ones that are less thick, the windows. I'll draw this wall all at once. This line you see is also the cook's. And I almost think this wall is the same. Well, now guys, I'm going to lay the foundation. I'm going to go into perspective. This line is selected. I go to the Moifa section and I hit the attach. The other lines are also attached with this line, but this attach symbol. I hit attach. which is a pure command. Now we want to extrude these walls. See if that extrude is in this list section. I give it an attach command. The height of our walls is 3 meters, so we have to enter 30 centimeters here. So this is the project wall that came up, the floor of the project. In this way, guys, I said before, because the mouse also has a problem, I use this rotation. You can easily rotate it by holding the Alt key and scroll your mouse on the screen. So this wall came up, now we have to draw the floor of this. Well, we draw this floor of ours, and after drawing the floor of the floor, we go back to the view of the rotation. So guys, here again, because we have a fixed volume, we can't use. Let's put our snap together, because I'm drawing a line here right now in the viewport. When I draw the next line, it might go to, for example, one in the sky and one in the blue, but here it should be better for me to put it on 2.5, so that I don't get into trouble. So I'll go back and select my line, and I'll line my plan all the way around. I'll go back to the perspective view. Well, this line that I drew around it, and I'll give it an exaggeration. Well, we have to give it a negative exaggeration. I'll give it a negative of 20. This is our floor. Look at the walls. I gave it a negative because our wall is flat. We had given it a positive. If I gave it a positive, it would reduce the height of our walls, so that it would go down and our walls would be on this floor. Guys, when I play the Iftihar call, let's say play Iftihar, let's say it's off now. If I play Iftihar again, these lines around it will show me. You can use this too. If you hit F4, and your photo doesn't show you this size, you can press Fn and F4 together, if you're working with a laptop. So guys, we have 2 doors here in this back section. Here we want to draw the top of our drum, the wall above our drum. Our door is 2.5 meters high. Our door is 2.5 meters high. Our wall was 3 meters high. So we have 1.5 meters high up here. What do? I can select this wall, give it a poly view, okay, and I'll come to the edges. Let's see my wall. Okay, let's turn it around, it would look good. I'll select 2 edges of my collar, select one, and now I want to select the next one. See, this is cleared from the selection, and then we hold the glide control, so that they are selected in any way. I'll come and give them a connection. So we want a connection, okay, and I'll bring this connection, we can give it a number from above, and I'll bring it from below. Sorry kid, why did it happen like this? Because our axis was not active here, I'll activate it on the Z-axis. Sorry, it was locked, I'll take it from the Z-axis in this. I'm going to put my foot here on the floor of my wall. Now I want to give it a number. I can give it a number from this part. I can give it a number from this part. And from below, see, I'm going to put it on this. Well, this is the enemy for me. Now I can give it a number in the direction of the axis. See, this line must also be accurate. See. Here, this is another one. On the right of the axis, we must give it a 250 centimeter deviation. See, it came here. Well, this is the upper half. Now I'm going to polygon. I'm going to select this part. I'm holding the Shift key and they come in the direction of the Y and stick to this wall. And this is when the subscriber, that is when it reaches the vertex. Well, this is from this door. Now I'm going to the side door in the same way. Do you want to draw the side door in another way now? This door we can choose again, guys. Control, we're going to connect, duh. So I can give this same connection a number in the same way as before. And now I want to close this here for you in another way. Now this one is going to be a wall. I'm going to give this one a connection too. Okay guys, look at this connection to this connection. We made this because we measured it this way, but using axis we can do it right there. It doesn't want to give it a number. See, each dose is now selected. I'll press W. This is where we should have placed them. I mean, they don't stop, so their place is determined. What can we do now? We can select both polygons. We'll hold the control to select this polygon. We'll also select this polygon and you know Hassan. So guys, we saw this day above. We drew this day together with two different methods. We have a heart here that will draw this together with one of the same methods. Now, so that the video doesn't get too big, I didn't take this video anymore. Let's move on to the next step. What is the next step? This is that we draw the ceiling of the ground floor, which actually reaches the floor of our first floor. Let's go to the top view. And if you do projects like this, you have to have different methods too. To achieve the volume you want. Anyone can use this method. You have to make many mistakes in different projects until you get the best method. See which method is easier for you. You can do it more secretly. Now we want to draw this floor hard. Both the floor and the first floor. We will use the line again. I will start this from here. Here I have to go around the void. Because the void is empty, I have to take this around. I have to go up this much. But I will keep the shape. We know, guys, if it doesn't get its shape, we don't know where, we don't know. So what should we click on? Then we will make this room. Now I will give you one so that we can come to these vertexes. We want this to be a pleasure. Shine with this. I hope that there is no problem. We will give one on the line when we leave the vest. We will extrude. How much will we extrude? Let's go to the perspective view. There are other edits that we do. I'm telling you guys, you have different ways of drawing this. and you can draw it piece by piece and attach it. Or you can draw it like this, for example, all at once, and then edit it. I'll hit 1 again to go. I have to ask for a retext, but when we get to the X, I have to give him an ID card. I'll give him an ID card. I'll hit 1 will go. I have to give him an X. Very. I want edge farant. I hold this edge and edge fangani shaft. I hold Control. I chose both of these edges and gave them. They give me a connection. They give me a connection. And I bring this connection, and I hate it here. Look, this place is big. Can I connect this to me? Let's mix this up and see what this season is like. You must do it. We'll put it here. Then we'll draw that polygon over this polygon. Let's say I can blend this polygon and this one together. And now these two polygons are selected and we give them a blend. Well, we'll draw this part the same way. Now that we have our polygon, we'll connect it. Let's see these two eclipses and their connector. I will give you your payment. Let's go to the polygon. Select this polygon. Select the opposite polygon. And then this is it. The ground floor and the hard floor of the first floor that we painted. Now we're going to put this on this. We go into the process view. They step on your ID and get out of here. I'm going to the Farron facade. I press G to make these grips go away. Well, I'll bring this exactly. I'm going to hit this. I'm going back to perspective view. And this is from where it is clear. We'll do it from here and leave it here. And this is how we see where to put it here. So let's go draw the first floor wall. I'll go back to the top view and go to the top view and again using the line. I'll put a domino on my person and start drawing from here. So you can draw the walls piece by piece and connect them together. I'll draw them this way too. I'll draw these 3 walls and connect them together again. Just be careful here to draw these exact points. Click where it turns green. Guys, every month you're drawing a line, and you want to go back a step. For example, I drew this line, it was a mistake. You want to go back a step. Hit the backspace key. You'll see it's gone back a step. And this wall over there, kid, it's a window. We're just going to draw the walls for now. We have one wall here that I'll draw in general. So I'm going to go into the model and attach these together. So I have to go into the perspective view. This perspective view, I have to give this line a height again. We see that we extrude it. Our wall height was 3 meters, which is 30 centimeters. This design is. So guys, we have a door here like on the ground floor. We put the door here. I'm going to give it an edit poly like this. So with the key 2, we go to the intersection. I'm going to give it a connection. You can also use the right-hand side. As soon as you right-click, I gave it a connection. I'm going to select this too. I'm going to keep this connection in place. I'm going to shield it here and add a negative value. Well, I'll close it from below as if the cocks are here too. I'll listen to the audio to make this clear. First I thought I lost it. Well, we're on the edge again. If we weren't there, I'll do something here too, either with the 2 key or by selecting from here. We'll bring this up and see if it's hot enough. No, because here with 2.5 we have to put this on 3 so that it can accurately identify the place of this and this, and I'll also close this. Okay, now that's right. Now I'll press the 4 key, or from here we'll press the polycan. If you want the cartoon face to be more cartoonish, we'll have to ask you for the middle keys for the spade. I'll hold the control. I'll also select this Curican. I'll see if both are selected. Del, and now I'll press the bridge here. Okay, let's go. We'll go to the FARD view. Yes, we'll go to the next mode. We'll go to the shaft, and there's an appointment right here. I'll go with the pursuit circle. The roommates want to go to the rack, half a turn. It's exactly at the children's party. So let's go hard on this floor. Let's draw the first one. We'll go back to the swing view, and I can use the rectangle again, and as soon as we draw with the line, I'll draw with the other line. It's definitely a tone. Let's put it on the 2 sides. I'm going to cut this out. Look, this isn't perfect, of course. I'm going to make a backspace for this. I'm going to draw it all the way around, so that it's in the willow. Well, let's go to the perspective view. I'm going to type W, and I'm going to put this right up there. Well, I'm going to extrude it with me. How much? 20 cents. I'm going to extrude this to the first floor. Now we know that we're going to draw the stairs together and then we're going to draw the windows. So we're going to draw the stairs. We're going to draw this. This is the stair line. Here we have a little line that we're going to see. Don't get me wrong. This is the line that actually shows where our garden starts. We also have a garden under the stairs. We'll work on that later. So I'm going to draw this with a rectangle. Do I draw it or not? Let's draw a box. I'm going to draw a box. The height of the palm is 20 centimeters. I want to see the height of this 20 centimeters. Its height is 20 centimeters. Well, now I have counted here. We have 18 steps. I want to draw the rest of the steps. I want to exit the command by clicking the axis first. I'm turning it off because I want to move in both directions. I'm holding the shaft. I'm taking the plectrum from here. I'm putting it here. Look, it's not detecting well now. Why? Because you are on a run, and you have to be careful to check the snub every time. If you see this problem, I'll keep the shaft and detect it now. Well, I'll put the number of stairs, the one we had drawn ourselves first. These are the stairs that my mother came here to see. It reached exactly the same floor. Now look at the stairs from this angle. You can see how they are from here. We never have that reality. This staircase is like a tooth and a mouse. What should we do next? I choose all these tips together. And I'll press Alt and Q to isolate this. Well, we'll hit a lookie, perlemon will be removed. Which means perlemon is right. We won't see anything else. We'll go to the Frandivare view. I'm with line. I'll start pulling from here. I'll put this on the second one again. To avoid any problems, I'll pull this step all the way around. In this way. Now I'm leaving the myths, I'm leaving. In the perspective view, you see this option at the end. Press Alt-Q again to exit the menu or select this option. Let's try again. We see you in our main view. And when we drew this, I'll put a double new. I'll put this on top. Because we're in perspective, I have to put it on top of 3. I'll put the snuff. I'll put it exactly on top of this, okay? Well, my child, I just put this on the party. Now I'm checking all of these boxes. Another vote. Everyone should be the same. You saw a door. It selects all the ones that were similar to this. And from the minutes that you are interested in, be careful not to select any other volume. Well, I'll delete these. Now I'm going to this. I'm starting from the stairs I drew, and why the width of these stairs is so narrow. I'm going to extrude this, and I want it to move to the negative direction. From minus 160 centimeters. Let's see if I have a minute plan. Now let's look at the plan from this side. In reality, we have something like this. Our stairs from this point on don't have a slope. They don't have a toothed shape anymore. Well, this is our stairs. Now we have to go and draw our stair railings. Now guys, we're going to isolate this stair again, so that we can work more easily. Now we want to draw a railing for this stair. We're going to assign it an edit polling, and I'm going to select Run. The middle line is selected, except I'm telling you, look, I'm keeping these in Alt. I'm going to select here. This is going to be deselected, and this top line too. Now that I've selected this, I'm going to connect this shape. I said connect just like that. Select from the right ground line, and from here, now I'm going to activate the axis. I'm going to take this connection. I'm going to put 0 in the loop. And now I'm going to give it a number in the Y direction. I'm going to give it 5 cents. So 5 cents. And I'm going to invert it. So, guys, now I can select one of these polygons. I said I can press the 4 key here. I'm going to press 4. One of these polygons is selected. Now I want to select all of them. I want to select all of them. Let's see this up here. When we click on the arrow, a kind of tool opens for us that many people can't work with. See, this has an exploding, a bell, an instance, and something else. It's normal to be able to work from wherever you're used to. I'm going to press the loop here, and all of this is selected for us. Well, of course, I didn't want this. I can turn this tool off and deselect it. If you didn't have this kind of tool, right-click here to activate it. Click here and activate the ribbon. For me, I think I should be active. This is where we activate the ribbon. So now I'm going to extrude this. Where should I extrude from? And we don't know what else to give this polygon. What should I give the extrude modifier to? We have to extrude this from its own settings. How much do we extrude it? 0.5 centimeter. Well, I used to extrude it 0.5 centimeter here in the preview. And this is to extrude it from both directions. So let's put it on the local normal. So see if it was extruded, because its size is a little bit not very visible. And now, what do we want to use to specify the location of the fences? Draw the fences of the plane. I select this edge and this edge, connect it. I go to this connect, put the attribute point, and in the negative direction of X. I give it a negative. I give it the same 0.5 centimeter, minus 0.5 centimeter. Well, now I select the polygon, we click on 4. We select the polygon, we extrude it, note 100. Well, we do one more up. I go to it again. I'm right, I went to it. I selected these two. I'll do this too, and since we can adjust it, see, because this was also half a cent, see this line here. Exactly, this is also a bit of a mess. 4 in Polygon, select Note Sand Exodus. So now we have to connect these Urza friends to this. How do we connect again? I'll hit 2 for the key. I'll put the collector here. They'll give me a movie. So this is the fence. And then I'll put a barrier between their polygons and they'll connect together. Nerfi Nimsun onto, so I'll hit 4. I'll set the control Nerfter. Soft polygon, select in here too. We won't hold the control. This program is also selected, and we'll put a bridge between them. So this is connected in the fence now, guys. It's up to you whether you want to have 2 railings on each step, one with a step or not. For example, you want to have 1 railing on each step. Now I want to put a railing in the middle of this. Again, in the same way, I give it the Select Connect control. Well guys, because it puts the connector exactly in the middle, I don't want to, for example, give me a number, give me a 2-sided connector so I can give it a number. What do I use? How many feathers do I use? 5-pointer, because it puts a line on both sides for me. I want 1/2 centimeter. And the distance, because it's 1/2 centimeter anyway. So here I have to take the number 25 centimeter, 1 centimeter. If I want to enter 1/2 centimeter, because it gives numbers on both sides. And this is what I'm going to do, which is the center line. We see, guys, he gave me a line 250 between the center line. There are 250 between the center line. I also erased the center line, so that these two are exactly in the middle of the bridge, and their distance doesn't match. Okay. Well, I put 4 and extrude it. We can extrude it. We can hold the shaft, and take this to get to the railing. We have to adjust this. We can see it like this. So now I can draw the fences one by one like this. And as soon as I copy these two, and using copy 20M on the polygon, I'll go to these two. Control Z from an angle that I can select better this time. Select. Well, now look, I'm going to copy this now, for example. So I held down Shift. You can see that the copy doesn't work. So what should we do? We hold down the Control and Shift keys together and move this. See, now it's done. Well, we can copy this to the element object and the object. I'll leave the object as it is, object. Well, of these two, I'll edit the top. The previous one will be removed from the original. So now we'll put these exactly in their place. We'll go to the angle of 30. We'll turn on the video. Let's see where the pivot of this went. It's here. I mean, I don't want to control these at all. And what should I do to make their pivot be in the middle of these? We'll go here and apply the pivot only effect and center an object, and then apply the pivot only effect again. You will get the command now that the shower is busy with its connection in the middle, and I can easily adjust this. So then because I turn this off the axis, and I can bring this in, adjust it from here, and I will say exactly at the travel point, and this will be placed here. So now I will copy this for the staircase. I will hold Shift, cancel because this is not active. From here you said that we will not have to adjust this again, and it will take us a lot of time. It was entering 11 and 16. So look at these, I placed the railings but right. It is not getting hot, so we have to delete these pages. You have to adjust this. I did not have this well at first. I wanted to make a series of copies. Then you who copied this can adjust this one by one. You have to put it exactly on this. These are all in violet blue. And you have to edit all of this. So guys, to save time on the video, I edited these railings one by one. You too. If you put this in place right when you copy it, it won't take much of your time, and you don't need to edit everything. Then, when you edit these and it's done, it's like this. We're going to attach these railings together with this step to make it a single shape. I attached this first, I think I attached it again. Let's do it together a few times. You can do it. It doesn't matter if you choose a step or one of these. The railings will come later. You'll add them here and we'll clip the cancellations to whatever you want. And so I burned them all together. Now I burned this. Now we want to open the right railing. What do? Well, this is it. We also attributed it to Poly. I am coming to Polygam and I choose all these stairs when I don't choose the fences, and this path of fences. Well, we have to select this. I'll keep it like that. So all of these are selected because it's easier to serif these than to select the railings one by one. These are selected. Now I'm going to press Ctrl I. When you press Ctrl I, your selection will be broken, meaning that the place you didn't select will be selected. Let's see, so I'll give you a reason. Now we're going to go, it's the same again. I just held down Shift and wanted to copy. It can't. Well, I say it can't. I'm going to press Ctrl Z. For this, we have to hold down Ctrl Shift to copy it. Forgive the kids now. I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to press Ctrl Z. Axis must be on. Make sure this is on the top of the stack. Otherwise it will take a while to get it right. Shift Control. Axes are on. Usage is on. And it doesn't matter if it's clone in object or clone in ellipses, okay? And this is how we drew it this way. I'm going to exit isolate now. So that's all I'm going to do. The next parts will go to. We'll work on the windows together. Then we'll model the model. We'll put the doors in and the material part of our thing, materialization, ambient lighting, and finally our rendering. So now we want to go and put the windows of this villa. So you see, as you know, from here to here we have windows. So I'm going to draw a box here. The snub is also on and I'm going to make this slat. I'm starting from here. And we're going to draw my box. Well, this box. And we're going to segment it as many as the window slats that we have. We have 5 windows here. So I'm going to give it 5 segments. Okay. I use a script to draw windows called Loom, which you can also use, and for even your windows. Let's open it up again. Let's see. I'm getting this script now. I understand it inside the page. And a page like this appears to me, so this is made up of 2 parts, guys. Look, here we have the window detail. That is, if you want to draw a window that has a lot of detail, you should use this part, of course. This is the maximum. You can have 3 segments, meaning for a window that has 3 segments, you can use more than 3, for you can't use this section. That is, we want to make a window with a lot of detail. Now we don't want to do a lot of detailing. We are working on the interior here. And the windows are simple. And we want curtains for the windows. We want to have a simple frame, or a simple window. Let's go down from this section and click on the Create Window and Selection option. We wait a few seconds and we will see this frame for us. The area around this thing is the same as the box. Well, I'll keep this line here because we want to use it and go. I'll click on the polygon and select these polygons first. Maybe when you click on the polygon, all these polygons will be selected for you. Sometimes this is the case, but not for me. For example, every polygon that I click on is selected. So to make my job easier, I'll do this first. I isolate it with Altokyo, which I can more easily adapt to. Now I'm taking these programs all together. I'm selecting. I'm keeping control at all costs because I want the kids. I want the glass to be drawn by ourselves and we can do it ourselves. Actually, let's give it a try. Now that we've selected these polygons, I'm going to apply a gradient here. Let's see how they get gradient like this. Now we're going back out of Isola, we're going back to its home screen, and I want to go here in the bars now. I'll draw this glass so that we can add materials to it later. Right now these windows are just empty frames. I'll use a plane to go to the front view so that I can draw them more easily. My snuff is active, so we can draw this, kid. And as soon as you draw one, we can set it up and make a copy. Now I've drawn this one, so I'm going to put the window in. This glass should be almost in the middle of the frame. I'll move this around a bit. Let's fix the frame. We'll have it. I think it's Marisap here. Now I'm looking for a copy of this. I want to open the electric fence, which is a process. We all hunted them like this. I'll show you in the video. I'll say this on the x-axis, and I'll say it on the y-axis, and I'll say it again. Well, there was one extra. I'll solve this. Let's see if these glasses are properly positioned in the same window. Well, we could have brought a pyramid a little bit in front of you and selected it all for me. Turn off snap, and turn it on very first. Now let's see, in the natural state, we never have such sharp corners. Okay, I'm going to give this fairy a 5. Let's go here. I didn't count the 5's numbers here. I have to count them in the first paragraph. I already did. I taught you the basics of how to do this. Let's play it again for you, and we'll play this. And I want to count how many feathers here that whenever I need it, I'll get it. Well, they don't go to. Here we'll assign a blanket to it, and I'll go here, I'll set its state to on these points. Let's take a look at it. I'll set its state to radial and the amount too. This is because 4,800. Well, it's better like this. Also increase the segments. Well, a lot. Right now, good. And another point is that we see that in the osmosis section here, we have to do this in this osmosis section, and we have to set this to a few francs. This is what he did here. This window comes up. We'll also rotate it here. I'll draw a box again. Well guys, here you have a window. I have to make its cintron as small as possible. Here, right-click on the cintron, it will go to its smallest possible state. And one more point you should keep in mind, guys, if you want to use the room, you should never use this box for your window speaker. because we will add poly if we add poly. This room will not work. He has to. I have to. He has to. I have to. I have to do these 3 again. And it goes out of the box. For this rotation, I will call it French glass show, using poly. I will adjust it so that it is in the middle of the frame. And guys, we will copy the shape that we gave to this. We will make a copy of it and assign it to this frame. We will come to this and paste it. Look at the shape, this is the same direction, so now we will see this from the windows of this part. This is the subverter. We will draw this again in the same relationship. Just one thing you should be careful of is that when you are working with this rim, you have to uncheck this round rim here. Okay, I will add this again with Alt-Q. No. We're playing bridge again, and this time I'm a 5 and 1. We'll pull the window down so that it looks like a bridge here. We can't pull the bridge down here right now. We have to work here sometimes. First, we need to use the right angle to pull and turn on the dodge attack here. We can talk about this on the same check you want. This moment is not right for me to leave the water because I don't have much to do from here. Here you must. Well kid, the chanfrey that you copied there, you will come to this. I will attribute the chanfrey to this one. I will paste it there. Let's see the chanfrey around. Well, I'm just getting enough of this and climbing up these windows. And I'll take this and let's get this. Okay, now let's make this other window too, guys. A series of windows like glass surround us. So next time you have some glass, I'll remove the first floor wall along with the first floor to make it easier for us to work. I didn't want to remove these windows. Stop being selective with the donors here. It's good that we have a bottle here, from this child to here, and one like this. We draw this with a box too. The entire step is repeated from here. And I'll even make meat from this. I'll fix this later, guys. Let's come here and give him this hard work that was right. We'll give it 10 hours to dry, and then we'll put it exactly where it belongs. I'm afraid for X to see if it's placed correctly or not. Now let's get right to it. And we have 3 frames here, so we need to give this box 3 segments. Well, we segmented the base and used the name again, so we repeat all that step again. Here I think all the winners are our children. In the first window, if we had bet on Polygal, it wouldn't have been a choice. Here we forgot to take the Winden tip. When you click on the polygon, this polygon should be selected. There is no need to select it. Well, we will select it. We will only click on the bridge. Like this, and some freebies that you copied from the web, you will give it this ratio. We will paste it there. And now, this ratio is a good sign because then this. No, because we were in polygon mode. It was not done in this ratio. Well, now it has been given. In the first mode, we were in polygon mode, we were not in poly mode. And again, we will draw the windows in half. I will take it very well. Don't turn off with this. Go to the while loop, because I want to move the wing degrees. Well, and now we need one more window here. We will draw all that step from here to here. Well, I am taking this time. I want to tell it the height of 300 and this window has 2 segments. This has 2 legs. We'll put a couple of heavy ones in it. So I'll put all the polylines selected. I'll put the brush on it. And the chamfer that I'm going to go to Edit Poly again, so that everything is selected. I'll assign the chamfer to it. We'll go and check, then assign it. And again we'll draw the windows. We'll finish it, but it would have been better if we had drawn the windows first, then assigned a few angles. We'll adjust this to the right place. In the middle, and we'll make a copy of it for this. I always forget about the child. So in the axis that I want to move, I'll ignore the axis. Click once on each axis. It ignores that axis, so. Now I'm going to exit the isolator, and since we drew all the windows, we drew the windows. Now in order to be able to better understand the space, I want to assign the glass material to this. We worked together on the material creation in a very detailed way, and we said that in the project we would become more familiar with the mother creation and material creation commands, and that as we worked together on the project we would learn more details. So I want to activate all of these glasses together. First, I select one of them. I give it an Edit Poly. I assign it an Edit Poly, and it comes. They all get fired together. And look at these bridges. These were all bridges that I drew. You can also select them from the shape. Now I don't know why today my system gives an error. Attach. Well, this is all attached to everything. That's it. We can easily give it a material. First, we said that for the other materials will stay in our render setup. And here we'll put the renderer section on Corona. So I'll close this in the center of the editor. Or we can turn it on with the keyboard. Open it. We'll wait for the page to load. So I'll bring a Corona Physical MTL to the page. It's your baby, Corona Physical MTL. I'll give you half of our window. So I'll click on this once. And see what changes. I'll click on this symbol from the material selection. See these corners or chamfered shape? This is our material assigned. In this section, in the preset section, we have a series of defaults, a series of materials that have been created in advance, and we can use them. For example, we see aluminum, chrome like glass, and song, and a whole bunch of other materials that we can use, and I want glass here. See, now our glass is assigned here. So guys, let's get to modeling the kitchen cabinets. In order to model the kitchen cabinets, we'll isolate the parts we need so that we can work more easily. I have a floor, a ceiling, a wall, and this plan. So I need this plan here to model our kitchen, but because this is isolated, it can't be selected like this. In order for you to select this, you have to go to the layer section and see from here that it's selected. Now I'll click. Look, because this was frozen, it wasn't selected. Here too, the only thing that's frozen is this. So this is our plan section. This page, your layers weren't active. They'll come to the Tools menu, and here you can activate the Layer Explorer. Well, for the sake of our work, I selected this plan. I'll hold Control, select my wall and floor, and now I'll isolate this with Alt and Q. So let's go to A. We stopped. The kitchen of our house, guys, is here. Our cabinet is in this section. We have a minimal cabinet. Well, I'll come and draw a box. I'll activate a box of my guilds to identify these corners exactly. They also bring the complete connection up. Our kitchen, and the kitchen of the house that we are talking about. This project was implemented according to the client's wishes, and we took into account the things that the client wanted here. For example, Ibotta gave the refrigerator, Ibotta gave the carpet, and we designed the kitchen here according to that. And well, we should know that the width of each cabinet means these doors that we have are this wide. The maximum is a thumb, meaning we can make it more than a thumb. If we want to make a door with an average material, it can actually be bent and will not withstand much. Unless a very expensive material is used, which also depends on the client's budget. But we took a drumstick up to an inch, a half-inch long stick. So we give this box a blazing pole, and we select its sockets, and we give it a connector. They give 2 connections. So my boy, we have this version of the refrigerator, right? And they gave us a width of 10 inches. I select this one. I put it on the 0 point, and I give the negative number to the right. From here I press this to activate it. Negative thumb. Well, this is the same. We have 10 inches, and I think we have a pantry. We don't give this negative anymore, because we are moving in the direction of the left. We give it 10 inches. So we have another 10 inches here. We have another cabinet here again. I select this one. I give a connection from this. I choose. We want a connector, and I bring this again. Here I can pass this from this cabinet, the center thumb to the center thumb number says. So now I saw a connection between this edge and between this and this again. We want to bring the cables in the middle. So I'll give 2 connections. Guys, the distance between the lower cabinet is cheap. We'll take 10 centimeters here. I'll take this to the point and I'll take the number of centimeters and see the distance. Here are our ground cables. Here is the distance between the ground and air cables where the wire is placed. In the standard, we usually consider this distance as 7 centimeters, but in this project our contractor asked us to consider 70 centimeters, so we'll take this. We'll give this appointment and again increase the number of centners. I took this connector for a moment because we needed to choose everything from the end to the end. I'm going to take this cabinet to the Omron Poly office now. I'll completely isolate this connection. I'll post it. Okay, now I'll take it again. Between these two, this one should also be behind it, meaning what you have in front of you should also be behind you, because then we want to bridge and we need to have other controls here, this and this. I'll connect them myself. We said enough that. This is not the case and Santosh can have it at the bottom. And we should have to have it at the bottom because we didn't. Sid fell. Well, look guys, you have to leave this in the cabinet. Everything that is here should be on the back of each other. That's why I took these two edges the first time and I only had these two lines. I couldn't empty this place, but I have to select these two edges and select their backs. Well, now I want to empty this middle part between the cabinet. I press the number 4. This polygon is selected. The polygon of the breast is selected and the Dirichlet. Here now my cabinet is empty. I'm going back to this scene. Now we have to remove the lower cabilizer. I'll select this HR again and connect them. So let's start with the cabinet footrest. That is, we have a part under the cabinets that we call the cabinet footrest, so that when we open the door of this cabinet, it doesn't hit our feet. We have such a part that we probably wouldn't have seen. I select all these lower vertices and move them 10 centimeters up. I'll move the foot up to 100 times 10 centimeters up. Now I'll draw a box under it. And this fax will be removed from the next time. From the next time. I think about 5 centimeters will be enough, so now I'll give this box an edit poly. I'll install it. I'll select the vertices in front of it. Now, you guys be very careful in the cabinets of the houses. This part is a little more sweaty than the main cabinet. And I'll take this one too, it's very new, my interior is as big as I go, let's eat like this. So now we want a car with a foot outside. I'm saying this. Let's go to Edith Paley from this hole. Select the main car. Select it again like this, and we want to connect it. Let's do 6 shops. See, these guys really should be beards. I'm not. I'll draw a bast here, see. The value is hopefully 60. I mean, we should see, guys, here in the barometer section it's exactly 60 and so on. These are the ones we have selected and we connect the 6 again. So now, guys, this word on our right, this box we have here, we said that it is the place for our freezer, which has 2 doors that are broken in the work, and the door at the bottom opens from here. So to open the door, we will select the edges again. So, we will make a connection between them. I will fix this and say this. All these are the vertices. We will go to this vertices. We will also fix these, so we will go to the circuit again, all of them. We will shield it to this bulge and give it 5 centimeters or 5 centimeters of power. Here we have a connection like this here. Between this and these two are. Again, this one is going to be the vertices of my bar. And we are going to this vertices with this vertices. I will make 2 faces. I will go to it. And this is where I will place it. Here is the point that we must know the vertex of this point. Then the queen will be a problem for us. I'll select it and lift it once. In this way, the base of the cabinet is the same door, and we're going to put the same door in the cabinet now. So I'm going to select the polygon. First, I'm going to select 4 in this polygon. And guys, I'm going to select this. We're going to select the video. These polygons don't become mobs at the same time. We're going to select these polygons. So, I'm going to inset all of these together. I'm going to inset it to by polygon mode, and a very small inset of about 3 and I'm going to give it all a try. Let's see if the nodes go to the office. Okay, this is the node. Guys, we have to separate these doors. from this main box. What are we going to do? We're going to keep the shaft and the control and the shaft. We're going to keep the control and the shaft and now we have two options, one clone to object and one clone to element. What's the difference between these two? Boy, when you copy and clone to object mode, you have an independent object. The one you took a floor from will be separated from this box at the back. It will become a separate object. That is, if you edit it with this, it will come to a new edit area of its own. But when you copy it in the element, it will be copied from it. It will be separated from it. But the two are related. If you want to make changes to this, you have to click on the main box. We want to separate the wire in the frame. Even editing is not possible. We copy many clones and objects from it. See now, for example, I select this box. This box is separate. When I put this formula on it, this also has a separate edit area for itself. Well, I want these rares to be selected now. There is a problem with the cabinet. We can't extrude it now because it is a page. So what should we give it? When the band gets stiff, we need to give it slack. I didn't count it. I'll go to the bottom of the list and we'll assign it to the slack drum. Well, I'll give it 1.5 sites. Now this door is not exactly in its place. I'll pull it forward a little so that I can put it exactly in its place again. I can see it from this corner. I'll put it here. Well, I'm in. Well, I'm in. We have a place for the oven at the bottom. For this drum, I'll be there later. I'll assign Elite Poly. One side of my style. Here I'll go to the vertexes. I selected the top vertexes and gave them a negative thumbs up because they're negative thumbs up. For the factory work, I'll exit this, and I'll enter the lower edit. I'll exit and click on the next box, and go to the number 1 and 2. I'll go to the ID. In this image, in this image, in this image, in this image, I'll enter the vertex. I'll do the work. I'll go get that polygar in the shaft. You'll want it by this time. Our max is higher than 22 and 22. If we take this to the end, it's fine, but if it's lower, no, I'll go all the way to the end of the crank now. I'll see where it is until this part. I'll bring it here. So this is from the steering wheel. Well, guys, we have a sink here. So whenever we want to put objects, I'll empty the sink and we'll do it together. Now let's go to the living room. The cabinets are messed up there. These glasses are in the front. I'll fix this later. And the kids are asking to fix the front of a cabinet, but they didn't press seal the cabinet. Now this doesn't matter. See that it only became sticky. When I want to draw here, as we also call it an island, I draw a certain box. I will put the box in the box. 400 silent, 88 silent, and its height is 90 silent. Now I want this box from the right side. From this side, we must have at least the remainder of the standards of 1 and 20, so that it can be a round trip. I want him to say 10 centimeters in front of me. It's enough for me to wear his pants. I have a box here next to this wall. The value is 40 cents. The one that became more. We have this on one side. So now I want to make this the same size as this box and make it 1. I'm going to add AFSA. I'm going to add AFSA again from here. I'm going to become a Khawaridh. So we wanted to get the temperature of the island in this limit. I'm going to use this Paksa that I wanted to use for the measurement. Well, we have a stone on that island. I was lighting the stone with the audacity of Batgiri. The hardness of the stone was still second to me, but I lowered the height of the stone because of the settings being messed up. So we'll give this stone a Bali edit. I'll choose the front text. You'll see that the stone is always in front if we pay attention to the front of the Sayat. From the front of the top, I want the door to come forward for the X compartment 10 ways. My back is the same. Now I'm going to choose the stone skin texture. I see in the middle of the negative X. Minus 10 centimeters. Well, we should start this section with the beginning. Neganch. I want 5 cents in the opposite direction for. I set the controller for this. I wanted to bring it forward 2 centimeters, and it's better if I want to bring the line down and the sides down. I use extrude here. I give it the number 2 centimeters. Look, it draws a line for me here. Now I go down my stone and select this lower polygon. I hold the shaft and drag this edge to the bottom of the controller. I'm not active. I go here like this. Thank you, I have to go until I have to. Here we also draw stones on the cabinet. Here we have a stone. That is, a box with a thickness of 2 centimeters. These thicknesses that I give, for example, a stone with a thickness of 2 centimeters. You asked for a promising job and wanted to use your stone. In their different projects, according to the province of Zarda, you can work with different thicknesses. This semela seems to be an official sign of me. And again from the end of if we do this woman. It's been a long time since you've been very good. This is also from the stone on your table. Well, I isolated the rest again and now I want to hate this stone. We said that in reality we don't have such sharp toys. Okay, because now I'll give 16 here and see if I can give 7. Okay, I'll say good things about this stone too. And I'll also paste it on the panes of the cable there. We gave this Dara a pen. The kids here don't have another pen. I have all these pens for him. And so most of our cabinet is finished. In the next steps, we'll go and put the water. Good material, light, and a happy difference. So guys, in this part we want to straighten our TV wing. And with the part that is under this plane, we modeled the cabinet here in the previous session. Now in front of the cabinet, in this part we have our TV wing. Well, let me visualize the parts we need so that we can work more easily. So our TV wing is going to be here, guys. Let's see exactly our TV wing from here. It starts from the corner of this left bar. It starts from this part, and as far as the corner of this column, that beam. In fact, the beam goes to the floor of that floor. It's up to here, so. Now I'm going to draw a box. Let's see from this view. Up to this point, the box should be the same, but it won't change like this now. I'm going to draw a box and fix it with Free Edit. I'm going to go into the viewport. I'm going to add it, so I'm going to give the box a side edit. I'm going to select this part and here I'm going to add the extension. I'm going to go into the perspective view, so now I'm going to put my box on the table. I'm going to go to the box. And I'm going to stand on the box. I saw this at 48. I'm an army man and my height is 44.5. But if we color it 438 or 438, then we have to. We also have a decoy box in our giraffe table that goes up. We're going to draw this into a box. Well, I'm going to give this box a number. I want it to be 5 centimeters. It should be more than a centimeter wide. I have to adjust it. I'm going to put it exactly like that. Well, I'm going to say Edit Poly. I'm going to give it. Well, I don't have to copy this one. We're going to copy it to itself. We're going to control it. Okay, a copy was taken on itself and I want it to have 45 of this pass, 45 cents and so on. Now we have these two on the left side. We'll copy these two and place them on the left side. Kids, if you get used to working with different shapes, this cartoon will go faster. Well, we have a slab of stone behind our TV that goes from top to bottom. Let's make a formal box for that. Well, let's give this a try. So we can edit it. Let's go to the Sample tab. I'll add it so that it's completely clear. This is the box where we'll draw the slab next. This slab